everyone. Welcome to Pathways to Education's virtual Grad Ball 2020. I'm your host, Isabelle Racicot, live from Montreal, and I want to thank you for joining me virtually in support of Pathways to Education Canada, an incredible national organization that is breaking the cycle of poverty through education. Quelques mots en français. Bienvenue au bal des finissants virtuels 2020 de Passeport pour ma réussite. Et moi, je vous parle en direct de Montréal et je veux vous remercier de vous joindre à moi virtuellement pour soutenir Passeport pour ma réussite Canada, un organisme national incroyable qui vise à briser le cycle de la pauvreté grâce au pouvoir de l'éducation. As we gather virtually, wherever we are today, we acknowledge that the ground beneath each of our feet is historically the land cared for and lived on by Indigenous peoples. We ask all of you at home to reflect and identify the names of the peoples who were the first to live, celebrate, and thrive upon the land where each of us now sit. For example, I'm joining you from the traditional territory of the Joignez-vous, a place which has long served as a site of meeting and exchange amongst many First Nations, including the Joignez-vous of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, Huron-Wendat, Abenaki, and Anishinaabe. May we also acknowledge that the systemic challenges facing Indigenous peoples is not limited to the past. They're still present today. We therefore understand our role is to learn more about our local areas and its accurate history and continue to act on the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's call to action. We've got lots of incredible stories to share with you today, but first I'd like to say a huge thank you to our presenting sponsor, EY. This is their 14th year sponsoring Grad Ball, and what an amazing commitment to young people that is. I would also like to thank our platinum sponsors, Brookfield, RBC, SimCord, TD, and Whitehorse Liquidity Partners for making tonight possible. And our gold sponsors, CIBC, Davies, Desjardins, and Northbridge for their incredible support. J'aimerais aussi remercier les partenaires stratégiques de Passeport qui aident l'organisme à transformer le soutien qu'ils offrent aux jeunes partout au Canada. Je pense à la Fondation Azrieli, la Fondation pour les enfants Le Choix du Président et Rio Tinto. Lastly, thank you to our government partners for extending their best wishes to Pathways graduates and for a successful event this evening. And while I'm on the subject of thank yous, why not? I also want to thank all of you for watching at home. So whether you're a longtime Pathways supporter or a first-time Grad Ball attendee, well, your support really does mean so much. Okay, let me tell you that you're in for an inspirational 45 minutes, so grab yourself a drink, a snack, whatever, sit comfortably, and enjoy the show.
Without access to technology, some students lose access to education. Help youth in low-income communities continue high school.
Alors, this year's Grad Ball theme is Beyond Barriers, and today we'll hear all about how the Pathways program supports youth living in low-income communities to overcome the barriers they face and build a foundation for a brighter future by providing a holistic combination of academic, financial, social, and one-on-one supports. But as we know, the world is going through something called a global pandemic. Yeah, and the challenges young people are facing right now have never been higher. Mais vous savez sûrement, la COVID-19 a malheureusement eu un impact disproportionné sur les communautés plus défavorisées, amplifiant ainsi les défis éducatifs, académiques et sociaux pour ces jeunes-là. Things many of us take for granted, like the ability to afford an internet connection or device, or even like a space just at home to do homework. In some households, students are having to prioritize work over school to help their families pay rent. This can leave students disconnected from school entirely. That's why supports like the Pathways program are needed now more than ever. And that's why we're here today in support of Pathways and Pathways Youth. If you have the means to do so, I encourage you to dig in your pockets and help us reach our goal of raising tonight $25,000 to help keep students connected to their education. So, I know we can all do this together. We have, about 45 minutes to do so? And I'm sure that we'll reach our goal. Alors, je vous invite donc, si vous êtes en mesure de le faire, à nous aider aujourd'hui à atteindre notre but d'amasser 25 000 pour aider nos jeunes. Je sais qu'ensemble, on est capable d'y arriver. So, you can donate by clicking the donate, le bouton donner, juste en bas ici. Or if you are joining us from your smart TV, just go to gradball.ca on your mobile. And when you do so, your contribution is going even further thanks to the generosity of the presenting sponsor, EY, who have committed to match every donation, listen to this, up to $25,000. That's amazing. Now, what better way to showcase the impact the Pathways program is making in the lives of young people than meeting some of them? I'm honored to introduce our first guests in a segment made possible by Brookfield, our virtual student and alumni ambassador sponsor. Please welcome 3 amazing Pathways alumni from across the country, from their home to yours. Here's Allison, Corinne, and Helen.
My name is Allison, and I'm a graduate of the Pathways Halifax location.
Hi, my name is Helen. I'm an alum from Pathways Vancouver.
Bonjour, mon nom est Corinne et je faisais partie du programme de Passeport pour ma réussite à Shawinigan.
The time that I joined Pathways, a lot of us didn't know about barriers, and we didn't know that certain people viewed us in certain ways. We learned that kind of as we progressed through the program. And at the time, I think a lot of people felt alone, but then Pathways just kind of plopped down and was like, you're going to have us as you go into high school and as you come out of high school.
Donc, le programme de Passeport pour ma réussite a été en quelque sorte très spécial pour moi parce que j'ai pu voir à quel point le programme était là pour répondre à mes besoins.
I think I found the mentoring most helpful because a lot of youth here, they have the support of their parents or their guardians, but you kind of feel like they have to support you. But my student parent support worker just believed in me right off the get-go, and I still talk to them today.
The tutoring support was most helpful to me because I was able to improve myself academically. I always had to work hard for my high grades, and from the Pathways tutoring program, I was able to help my friends at school as well.
Un de mes moments préférés concernant le programme de Passeport pour ma réussite, ça serait les galas de fin d'année. Puis on assistait à un grand gala où on donnait des prix de persévérance aux jeunes qui s'étaient démarqués dans leur parcours.
My favorite memory of the Pathways program was the graduation celebration because it gathered all my family members as well as my friends. And it was a really enjoyable time because everyone who was a part of Pathways came, and also my youth worker came, all the staffs came, and I think it was a really great way to celebrate all of our accomplishments. I'm currently studying business at Simon Fraser University in Vancouver, and I'm hoping to concentrate in marketing and human resource.
So currently I am a second-year law student at Dalhousie University. I also work as a research assistant for a criminal law professor.
Donc, actuellement, je suis une étudiante à l'Université de Montréal. J'étudie en enseignement du français langue seconde pour éventuellement être professeure de français à l'international.
Thank you to those who support the Pathways program and for those who came up to tonight's broadcast.
Le message que j'aimerais adresser à toutes les personnes présentes, c'est principalement vous dire un grand merci d'être là, d'encourager les personnes, de les supporter.
Thank you for attending Grad Ball, and thank you for your continuous support for the Pathways program.
Thank you, Allison, Corinne and Helen. Merci d'avoir partagé votre histoire avec nous puis d'avoir montré le pouvoir vraiment du programme Passeport. Parce que non seulement il aide les jeunes à obtenir un diplôme d'études secondaires, mais il leur permet aussi d'acquérir la mentalité nécessaire pour relever et surmonter les défis de l'âge adulte. Of course, we wouldn't be here today without the support and flexibility of our sponsors. So it's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Chairman and CEO of our presenting sponsor, EY, and a Pathways board member with a message for the class of 2020. Please welcome Jihad Shimali.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jihad Shimali, Chairman and CEO of EY Canada and a member of the Pathways to Education Board. Je suis vraiment très fier d'appuyer cette organisation fantastique et chacun d'entre vous. This year, EY is celebrating 14 years of our partnership with Pathways. Graduation is one of the greatest and happiest occasions in life. It unlocks doors to limitless opportunities and a brighter future. But it's not always an easy road. And it's even harder for those who face many barriers that are out of their hands. And I'm sure many, if not all of you, can relate to this. And when global and systemic issues, like the ones we've seen this year, compound the everyday challenges we face, it's an even tougher mountain to climb. But that's what makes your success that much more special. Your hard work, drive, and above all else, resilience, have proven that you can achieve whatever you want in your life. Hold on to this moment, but let it become a platform from which you will continue to jump higher and higher. It's your unbeatable spirit that will help you shape your own world and make our world a better, brighter place for us all. And so, even though we can't be together in person today, from all of us at EY, I say, bon bal de diplômés, félicitations à tous, congratulations everyone. I can't wait to see where you will go from here.
Merci, Gia, d'avoir partagé des mots inspirants avec les jeunes de Passeport. Puis merci une fois de plus aussi à EY de soutenir la tenue du bal des finissants. All right. Okay, this is the part where you at home get involved. That's right. How much do you know about Pathways? Well, we're about to find out because I'm going to test your knowledge with a short 3-question quiz, okay? So grab some pen and paper and we'll kick off our impact quiz sponsored by RBC. So, ready for our first question? Here it is. Last year, what percentage of Pathways graduates went on to post-secondary education or training? Is it A, 74, B, 67%, or C, 58%? I'm giving you a few seconds here. A, B, or C? And the answer is A. A. Isn't that incredible? So in case you're interested, the top areas of study for graduates include life sciences, social sciences, community services, and business. That's a really nice number. Okay, question number 2. If you didn't get the first one right, you might get this one, so don't despair. Quel est le rendement social généré par chaque dollar investi dans Passeport? Est-ce que c'est A, 24 $, B, 20 $ ou C, 16 $? Encore une fois, je vous laisse quelques instants pour réfléchir. Et la réponse est A, 24 $. Déjà, pensez-y, le 1 $. Than $24. And that's according to a 2011 analysis by the Boston Consulting Group. The Pathways program delivers a social return of $24 on every charitable dollar invested. So imagine the money we're raising tonight multiplied by 24. That's what's amazing. Okay, question number 3 now. So, what is the average graduation rate increase in communities that Pathways serves? So that's the average difference between the graduation rates before Pathways works in the community and after Pathways work in the community. So is it A, 36%? Is it B, 40%? Or C, 44%? Again, I'm giving you a few seconds to determine your answer. And the answer is C, 44%. That program really is making a difference. So, how did you do? Well, hopefully you got a perfect score, but if you didn't, don't worry. There are plenty of opportunities to learn more about Pathways as we continue today's programming. The quiz, though, is a perfect reminder of the impact Pathways is making across Canada. And here to tell you more about that impact and what it means to Pathways, please welcome our next speaker of the day, Pathways to Education Canada's President and CEO, Sue Gillespie.
Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us at Grad Ball. I'm Sue Gillespie, CEO of Pathways to Education. Today, I'm joining you from my home in Waterloo. As you've heard already today, Pathways is making a tremendous impact across the country, from moving the needle on graduation rates to inspiring the next generation of Canada's leaders. This impact is achieved through a collective effort from our dedicated program partners across Canada, our incredible network of supporters, including all of you watching right now, and of course, our brilliant and resilient youth who remind us every day how much can be achieved when young people are given the opportunity to succeed. Earlier, we heard from some amazing Pathways graduates who demonstrate how the Pathways program is helping youth to develop the critical competencies needed to be resilient in the face of adversity and scale the walls that stand between them and their dreams. And right now, although those walls may be higher than ever, our commitment to supporting youth has never been stronger. We've stayed connected to youth throughout this time, helping them overcome the amplified financial, academic, and environmental barriers they face. And we've doubled down on our commitment to grow through innovation in order to find new ways to reach even more youth. We have great confidence in our ability to continue to serve young people, providing them with the tools and resources they need to succeed, and helping them create a brighter future for all of us. This confidence in our ability is strengthened through the unwavering generosity of our supporters. So thank you, and enjoy the rest of this event.
Merci, Sue. So as you can tell, I'm like Beyonce. I need to have a costume change during this evening, but I think it's going to be easier to read the subtitles now. We're around the halfway mark of today's event. Yes, I know already. So if you've been inspired by what you've heard, please do take a moment to donate using the buttons at the bottom of your screen to help keep even more students connected to their education.
Without access to financial support, some students lose access to education. Help youth in low-income communities continue high school.
So we've had an amazing response so far. We've had donations roll in from across the country. So thank you sincerely for your generosity. And thank you to everyone who's taken the time to donate so far. And I'd like to take a moment just to recognize a few of you right now. So merci beaucoup, Marc G. from Quebec, Vincent M. from Toronto, Emery W. from St. John, Laurie and Hugh from Toronto, Laura S. from Toronto, Sydney G. from Fairfield, New Jersey, Gloria E. from Toronto, Jenny P. from St. Albert, Debbie S. from Heritage Point, Gwen A. from Ottawa, Neil M. from Toronto, Melanie A. from Toronto also, Nadim Kiraj from Oakville, David G. from Burlington, Adrian C. from Toronto, David A. from Toronto, Luke W. from Toronto also, Paul C. from Toronto. People in Toronto are very generous today. All right. Kathleen KB from Toronto, Yoni F. from North York, Lara S. from Toronto, Laura M. from North Vancouver, Clara W. from Oakville, Nadine A. from Canada, Samuel from Toronto, Camilo from Montreal, and Loris S. from New York. Thank you. Many more. I won't name everybody, but thank you. If you haven't donated yet, not to worry. There's still lots of time to help us meet our goal tonight. So, also, I want to take a moment to recognize another of our amazing Grad Ball sponsors. White Horse Liquidity Partners are our technology sponsor today, and they've played an integral role in helping us pivot to an online event this year, which is why I'm able to connect with all of you in your home, me here in Montreal. So thank you, White Horse. Now, as we've witnessed earlier, Pathways youth are incredible. They're bright, they're ambitious, they're resilient, but did you know they're also incredibly talented? You'll see. It's my pleasure to welcome our next guest with a musical performance of an original song, one he wrote while navigating his own challenges as he started university. Please welcome Pathways alum, Noah.
Hi, my name's Noah. I'm a 2018 Pathways alum from Kingston, and I'm going to be playing one of my songs. In a dangerous cycle, can't stop. I know I'm holding on to something a little too hard. If I let it go, I know I'll never see it again. But if I keep on holding, I know I'll lose a friend. Something going on bigger than my control. Anxiety and happiness always playing selfish roles. I know when I give my opinion on things, people start to yell. I guess I get on happy sometimes. I wanna bring them to my hell. To me well, I've only taken one hit, but I'm waiting for the bell. Start to care too much, and I know I'm going down. All the screaming in my mind, I wanna run away from the sound. Scary hours, what's done is done. When you're facing something, it ain't smart to run. If I let it go, I know I'll never see it again. But if I keep on holding, I know I'll lose a friend. Whoa. Something going on bigger than my control. Anxiety and happiness always playing selfish roles. Know when I give my opinion on things, people start to yell. I guess I get unhappy sometimes. I wanna bring them to my hell. Going out to me well. I've only taken one hit, but I'm waiting for the bell. Start to care too much, and I know I'm going down. All the screaming in my mind, I wanna run away from the sound.
Merci Noah, quelle performance incroyable et quelle chanson touchante. Alors pour découvrir d'autres chansons de Noah Ross, rendez-vous sur Apple Music, Spotify ou SoundCloud. Thank you Noah, and thank you to our entertainment sponsor today, SimCorp. Okay, now I want to bring you back to your high school graduation. The excitement. Remember the celebration, the relief, the prom dress. Is he going to ask me out? Is she going to say yes? Yeah. So now imagine going through all of that during a global pandemic. Well, for the class of 2020, that's what it was. And I understand what they've gone through because my son is a high school graduate from this summer. So I know that, it didn't look like what they expected. And what should have been a moment of celebration and happiness for the future was filled with disappointment and anxiety about what lies ahead. In times like these, the strong interpersonal relationships with caring adults offered through the Pathways program are so important in helping young people navigate the challenges in front of them. Here to share their story of what it was like for Pathways students to graduate during a pandemic, it's my pleasure to introduce our next guest of the evening. Brought to you by our Alumni Voices sponsor, TD, please welcome, all the way from St. John, New Brunswick, Pathways alum from the class of 2020, Michaelin, and her Pathways student support worker, Harry.
My name is Harry Daly, and I'm a youth advisor at Pathways to Education in St. John, New Brunswick. St. John, specifically the South End and Waterloo Village neighborhoods where Pathways to Education is located, has some of the highest child poverty rates in Canada. So the South End is a little over 50% at the last census. And with that poverty comes a number of different barriers once a student arrives in high school. Quite often there's some pretty significant gaps in their education, depending on the school they went to, their upbringing, and with that poverty, family dynamics can be a little challenging in a number of households.
Pathways to Education was my safe place. They helped me emotionally and financially. Finances were not always a thing that I had access to, but Pathways helped me overcome that.
I think Pathways to Education in St. John has had a number of different achievements over the past 4 years that it's been around. I guess we're going into our 5th year. There's no question that a huge achievement that I've seen is watching those students move through from grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, and then into grade 12 and graduate last year. So it was a huge accomplishment to watch our students walk across the stage, or in this case the sidewalk during COVID-19, and get their high school diplomas, and a number of them moving on to post-secondary education is without a doubt one of our biggest achievements.
Graduating during the COVID-19 pandemic was different and not easy to adjust to, but overall I did get through it, and I feel that it was a good learning opportunity for us.
So like the rest of the world, COVID-19 had pretty serious implications on our programming. As mentioned, this was our first graduating class, so this was all new to us. We were all going into a time that was a little uncertain even without COVID-19. So when that hit, it really shook things up. And we were able to work alongside the students and distribute some surveys, and we had really good connections and relationships with those students, and those continued, and we just changed the way that we connected with students. And surprisingly, they were really open to engaging in programming, especially the mentoring and tutoring aspects of the programming. And now that we can do some in-person programming in the new year, we've actually kept some of that online presence because it was such a big win for us.
And if I had to share a little bit of advice, I would say enjoy every second of your time at Pathways, because you never know, when you blink, it'll be over. My life changed drastically once the COVID-19 pandemic was introduced, so I want to let you know to love life and live every day to the absolute fullest.
I want to say congratulations to all of the Pathways students who graduated in 2020. I also want to say thank you to the Pathways to Education staff and the donors who make this possible. Your contributions, whether that be time or money, really create these hundreds of stories, but there are individual stories that make up all of those graduating class of 2020. And I want to say thank you for the contribution you've made to making that happen.
Merci, Michaeline et Harry, de nous avoir rappelé pourquoi on est tous ici aujourd'hui. C'est incroyable de constater la force et la résilience des jeunes de Passeport et les relations de soutien aussi qu'ils établissent avec le personnel qui rendent vraiment ce programme-là si spécial. And of course, as we all know, the pandemic is going on, and these relationships are critical when students are having fewer interactions with friends and teachers, and when their ability to stay focused on school is tested on a daily basis. Well, if you'd like to help keep students stay connected to their education, just a reminder that you still have time. It's not too late to donate. You can make a contribution by clicking the donate button or donner below, or by visiting gradball.ca on your mobile phone. Well, we're almost at the end of today's programming, so please continue to donate if you want to get the thermometer going, right? But we also have one more amazing story for you today before we wrap things up. As you know by now, Pathways helps students to overcome barriers and gives them the tools and resources they need to follow their dreams. And for some of them, no dream is too big. It's my pleasure to introduce our next guest, all the way from Winnipeg, Manitoba. It's Pathways alum and published author, Emma.
My name is Emma. I'm calling in from Winnipeg, Manitoba. It was very difficult because we had moved from a relatively nice kind of suburban area in the Charleswood area of Winnipeg specifically. And so moving from there to the north end was a really big change. I mean, when we first moved to the neighborhood too, there was a lot of fear there, I think, because there's such a stigma around the community of like violence and murders and such being very commonplace. And just before actually living there, I just thought, well, what if this, stigma and rumors are actually true? The first time I heard about Pathways was a friend of mine in high school. I was apprehensive at first, my first time going to Pathways, to their site, but the apprehension was definitely, it was very much alleviated within like the first little while of being there. Pathways always made me feel safe, and most importantly, I think valued as a person. So it's definitely like that positive social atmosphere was like the cornerstone of me wanting to keep going and take advantage of the rest of the supports. And they connected me with a school counselor who I felt comfortable talking to work through my struggles of like self-esteem and mental illness that I was dealing with at that point. They provided financial incentive for me keeping my school attendance and grades. Growing up, I loved writing and drawing, and writing for me was like sort of my escape, it was my catharsis. My biggest hurdle for sure was the classic dilemma of knocking on every single door and being turned away or having the door slammed in your face. I looked at several different publishing companies, all within Canada, 100 or so different companies, and all of them, except maybe 2 or 3, required you to have some previous published work before they even consider taking your submissions for consideration. I was very, very frustrated, but I was also kind of concerned and very perturbed at the fact that, this gated requirement was going to limit, the impact of like diversity of voices, especially the voices of young people and or young minorities. You don't see very many of those voices represented in the literary canon. And I think the biggest reason is because of this roadblock. And so from there, I went back to one of the mentors. And it was at that point when they had told me about the self-publishing genre. It's a young adult novel. It's very personal to me because it came from a point of inspiration from my dreams. It's very much a tale of like self-discovery and being okay with who you are and kind of testing the bonds of family beyond the limitations of just blood relations. I'm studying full-time at the University of Winnipeg. I'm studying English with a focus on creative writing, of course, as well as rhetoric, writing, and communications. I'm currently working at the Pathways Winnipeg site right now full-time as a mentor myself, or student parent support worker, as we're also called over here. And my own personal philosophy is, working towards my own obsolescence. When they no longer need me, I've done my job well.
Merci Emma, ton histoire illustre parfaitement la force du programme Passeport. Puis je suis certaine que tu as un brillant avenir devant toi. You can pick up a copy of The Fairy King on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Chapters, or you can also visit emmaporterbooks.com. Emma is yet another example of the incredible talent of Pathways Youth. And before we wrap up this evening, I want to give a huge shout out to another talented Pathways alum who helped make tonight possible. You didn't see him in our video segments today, but that's because he was pulling the strings from behind the camera, or should I say behind the screen. Richard Fung is an alum from Pathways Regent Park and also the co-founder of Black Belt Productions, who created almost all the video segments that we've seen today. And let me tell you, directing videos over Zoom is not an easy task. So thank you, Richard and team, for helping bring Pathways program to life. Thank you also for joining us today for what has been an incredibly inspiring event showcasing the remarkable impact Pathways is making across Canada. Access to education really does transform lives, and we've seen that personified by all the young people who share their stories and their talents with us today. So I'm thrilled to announce that we have raised together an incredible amount of $37,287. Wow, thank you for your incredible generosity. And of course, we know that that number will be matched by our presenting sponsor, EY, bringing the grand total to $62,287,000. Thank you. Je suis ravie de vous annoncer qu'on a dépassé notre objectif et qu'on a amassé un beau montant, comme vous le voyez, de $62 287. Well, that's it for me. Thank you again for taking the time to join us today. I hope that you're leaving feeling inspired and proud of Pathways Youth, and proud of the difference your support is making to thousands of students across the country facing barriers in these challenging times. Thank you for keeping them connected to their education. Bye tout le monde.
Without access to a remote learning space, some students lose access to education. Help youth in low-income communities continue high school.